Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Chris Kelso, filling in for Kevin Price. You know, we're going to roll so far, and next we have up Tom Taormina. Tom, how you doing?
Top of the morning to you, Chris. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing very well, thank you. Top of the morning to you, too. You know, we got some good subject matter to speak with you about. One of the things is about looking at New Year's resolutions, starting off with, and then going into some other subject matters right there. But before we do so, let all of our listeners know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Super. My little company helps companies be the best they can be. My background is I spent 14 years at Mission Control in Houston as a quality control engineer. And ever since then, I've been trying to help companies run their businesses the way we won the race to the moon. It can be done, whatever your long-term plans are for your company. It can't be as difficult as going to the moon. So,
well, it was rocket science, right?
Exactly.
Well, you know, let's start off by talking. Obviously, we're coming up against New Year's. And, you know, one of the things we like to talk about is sort of putting those New Year's resolutions together. And we're talking about more from a business perspective. You know, what are your thoughts about that? What can an individual, what can business start doing right now to start looking at those New Year's resolutions and what it looks like going forward?
Well, every time I pass one of those party trays at one of my clients, or everybody's in the holiday spirit, I look at it and say, "Now, I can only do this for another week."
That is true.
So, let's look at some New Year's business resolutions, and I picked out a few that I would like the listeners to think about and to see if it falls into their things that they want to do for 2015. The first one is what I call learning the difference between managing and leading. It's a topic that most people that run businesses don't dwell on, but it's really, really critical. And the definitions that I would like you to think about is we manage processes, but we lead people.
Gotcha. Manage processes, but, and it's very important, you talk about that, and I think it's a very good one to start off with because oftentimes, we hear this all the time, sometimes leaders don't make good managers, and vice versa. Good managers sometimes don't make good leaders. And so it's important to understand where your role is in that process. Is that correct?
Absolutely, Chris. That's a very enlightened approach. There are a lot of people who manage process as well. They're numbers people, rows and columns people, and they're looking at how things get built or how services get performed. But the charismatic leader of an organization is the one who creates an environment where everyone can be the best they can be. And that's really the difference between the two.
Gotcha. And it's important to have a good mix of both of them in any organization, I would imagine.
It is. One of the things I've learned over working with more than 600 companies is that there are really four roles in the leadership of every business. One is the charismatic leader, the founder. The second one is a financial person. The third one is a technical or whatever your core business is. And the fourth one, of course, is marketing. And I've never seen an organization that has been able to do that with less than two people, and really four is the best. So a leader surrounds himself with like-minded individuals, but those that have those diverse skill sets so that they can reach consensus on everything they're planning to do with their business.
I would absolutely agree. Well, that's a great starting point. What's the second one?
Well, I think let's turn it around and go to the people who do the work and look at the world, resolve to look at the world a little bit differently. What can we do to create 100% happy customers? 100%. I'm not saying satisfied customers. I'm saying that we never leave a project or an assignment or deliver a product where our customers are not referrals to new people.
Very, very important right there. One of the things I tell everybody in my business is I just don't want somebody when they walk out of my office to say, hey, I want to refer this guy. I want them to pound on the desk and say, you have to use this guy. And that's what you're talking about right there. It's, what do you have to do to totally blow their socks off, to totally wow them? It's that wow factor. So that it's not only just a basic referral, it is a referral for life.
You can spend a fortune on social media and marketing, but the word of mouth, someone at one of these Christmas parties over a table of pieces of cheesecake can say, you know what, have you ever talked to Chris Kelso about his business, you got call Chris on January 2nd and talk to the guy. He's amazing.
And you're right, though. That is the type of referrals you want to do. And too often, I think companies forget to look inward, as you mentioned right there, and to find, too many companies look for that new client. And so what they end up doing is forgetting about the existing client that you can service, and most of the time end up giving you more referrals than if you're always out there beating the door for a new one. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out and beat the door for a new one. You have to have a good mix of both. But too often I see companies, large and small, forget, maintain, and more importantly, make very happy the client you have, because that's the most important one at that time.
And there's also the adage about 5 times or 10 times the cost of creating a new client as keeping an existing one.
That is true. That is absolutely true right there. And I see it every day. I think you do too.
Yes, sir.
What's another factor you want everybody to know about?
Well, here's something for everybody to ponder over as they drink their eggnog. What is it that you can do to make your job easier and more interesting? What is it you can do at the grassroots level, you and those around you, to make your job easier, more efficient, and more interesting to you? If you dwell on that topic rather than making the process work better, you'd be amazed at how much more rewarding your work is, and that it's about the only thing we can do that I call trickle-up effect. The grassroots efforts in businesses seldom work for efficiency, making things better, because the leader's got to be the one that creates the environment. But you get together with your coworkers and say, look, if you did this, my job would be so much easier. And they look at you and say, well, what you do, if you could just add this or talk to me about that, make my job much, much easier and more interesting. You'd be amazed what a groundswell of process improvement and job satisfaction you can create on your own.
Oh, I would thoroughly agree right there. One of the things, I'm always looking to see what I can do to make my job easier and more efficient. But, you're absolutely right there, because one of the things, if so many times you hear an individual saying, I just got back from work today, or I've got to go to work today. And if you can switch it around saying, I can't wait to go to work today, that becomes infectious within the organization, because then everyone else wants to go to work. Everyone else likes what they're hearing. Everyone sees what's going on. And you're right. It's that triple up effect. It's what can I do to enjoy my job more, be more efficient at what I do, and enjoy the time off I've got more. Because at the end of the day, a happy organization makes for very happy results.
Absolutely, and it infects the customers. One of the things that people might not think about, it infects your suppliers as well. One of the things I've been doing for many years is creating supplier partnerships. I helped Dell Computer create their supply chain management program, and what they did was created partnerships with suppliers, and everybody won. If you can think about the scenario of everyone winning instead of creating winners and losers like our stock market system.
You are right there. I think that everybody wins is definitely the scenario. Tom, we are coming up against a break right now, but before we do so, how can we reach you if you don't mind?
It was rocketscience.com is our website. It was rocketscience.com. My newest book is called Foreseeable Risk is one of them, and the other one is It Was Rocket Science, and they make great last-minute stocking stuffers.
Well, that sounds great, Tom. Thank you very much for being on board on The Price of Business today. That was Tom Taormina with It Was Rocket Science. We're coming up against a break right now, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.